All right, welcome to the 11th session of our live Hangout on Air. This is WP Roundtable. I'm Jason Crawford, and we're going to start off with our introductions. Today's topic is outside resources. Kellen, take it away.
All right. Hello out there, everybody tuning in. Welcome to WP Roundtable. As Jason said, my name is Kellen Mace. I'm a freelance web developer on the east side of Michigan. My website is down below, kellenmace.com. Happy to be on tonight with you guys.
And my name is Kyle Maurer. I am a lead developer and co-founder of Real Big Marketing based in Jackson, Michigan. I'm making WordPress plugins and building websites for small businesses. Excited to talk about the awesome tools we've got listed out today.
And again, Jason Crawford, independent web designer out of in Medellin, Colombia. And let's get started. Kellen, you want to take the first one?
All right. I would love to. Yep. A few of my outside resources or tools of the trade today are education-based. I'm trying to actively learn as much as I can about development and design and things like that. So some of these resources come in really handy to learn things on the web. So first one I'll mention is Codecademy.com. Relatively popular one, but it's easily confused with Codecademy if you slide an A in there. But the one I've had some experience with is without the A, just Codecademy.com. That site is currently everything is free on this site. So they have very intro courses on HTML, CSS, just kind of the basic web languages, through to pretty advanced JavaScript and jQuery, even into object-oriented programming using those languages. And within the last, I think, year or 2 years, they've launched some server-side languages as well. So they even have Python and PHP on the site. So it's been a great resource for me. Some of the ones I've mentioned have a monthly, recurring membership fee if you want to be able to use them, which oftentimes is worth it, especially when you compare them to, a college or university tuition, for instance. Then they're, definitely lower than those. But to have one that's free is a good resource. So whenever work is slow or you want to bone up your skills, Codecademy is a good one I would recommend.
Actually, when I saw your notes for today, I thought it was Codecademy as well. So I'm glad you brought that up.
I know. Yep, they both exist, but slightly different. Yeah.
You want to hit the other education ones real quick, or you want to hold off on those?
Sure. Yeah. Why don't I? Yeah. If I do them back to back, that'll provide a good contrast too. Yeah. So real quickly, some of the other ones I was going to mention. So Codecademy, like I said, all the lessons are free. I mentioned the languages offered on that site. Two of the other ones that I like are CodeSchool.com and then also TeamTreehouse.com. These sites do have a monthly membership fee, but they make learning some of these web technologies very fun. Especially Code School makes it almost plays like a video game. So they have if you're entering the intermediate jQuery less series, for instance, then they'll have level 1. They'll have a little intro video and song. Everything's over the top with the whole intro for each lesson has a theme and a video and all kinds of stuff. And then you get to level 1, where they'll give you a certain challenge, and there's an actual IDE or an editor right in your web page, and it's up to you to actually learn by doing, to code up, exactly what they're asking you to do. And if you hit, submit at the bottom to submit the code that you've written, and something's wrong with it, it won't allow you to pass to the next level. Often they'll give you a little tip or hint for, hey, it looks like something's going wrong in your such and such function, for instance, so you at least know where the problem lies. Sometimes those hints can be kind of helpful. So you kind of refactor your code once or twice until you get everything working, then hit that submit button, and voila, you've beaten that level, so to speak, and are ready to move on to the next one. So they make it kind of fun like that. Like I said, they kind of play like a video game, and in the process you're learning by doing, which is really great. So those two highly recommended as well. Last one I'll mention, a lot of folks are familiar with, is Lynda. lynda.com, which is lynda.com. This is just a vast resource for not just web technologies like some of the other sites I've mentioned, but they do, digital photography and videography and web development and, a whole myriad of topics. But I primarily use it for, the web stuff. Lynda has really great videos, really great trainers, stuff like that. It's a little different than the other sites I've mentioned, because the other three so far, Codecademy, Code School, and Treehouse, those three, like I said, have an IDE or an editor built into the web page where you have to, learn by doing and code things yourself. Lynda's a bit different because they have just a series of videos that you can watch. They're really well done, like I said, but rather than have you code things up in the browser itself, they just provide like exercise files, so you can just download the files to the whatever demo website they're building in the lesson, things like that. You can download the demonstration files for that and kind of follow along on your own. So that can be kind of helpful, I think. In my opinion, some of the other sites where they really force you to do every single step, that to me, at least for me, cements it in my mind more. To kind of force you to think through every step of it and do the steps. Make sure that you're not glossing over things. Because a lot of those topics, as they're being described by the speakers on lynda.com, can sound easy. Like, oh, I would do that, then I would do that, then the following would happen. Yeah, I got it covered. But then, of course, when you try to do it yourself, there are roadblocks or kind of lapses in your knowledge, for instance. So I tend to like the sites that like I said, kind of force you to do it in the browser and learn by doing like that. But Lynda's still a great resource. Really great trainers, I think. Especially for me in particular, I'm trying to get more well-versed in WordPress theme development, and do my own theme from scratch is a goal of mine, based on the popular underscores framework by Automatic. And Lynda just launched a new lesson by the trainer is Morten I'm going to say it wrong, Van Hendrickson, I believe is his last name. But if you just Google that, Lynda, and then underscores, theme lesson, something like that, that'll be the first result. I'm really excited about that series of videos. In that series, he goes from just the underscores, framework, which is very bare bones for anybody who's familiar with that. It's free, available at underscores.me, just the full word spelled out. But he starts with that just blank, really bare bones framework, and on top of it builds an entire theme. And the theme he builds is even available publicly on the WordPress.org repository as a finished, completed theme. So he goes through in detail how to start from nothing, really, just the framework, all the way through to a completed theme. So I'm excited about going through that. Looking forward to learning the whole process. So that was it for the education stuff. I'll let you guys take it from there.
Awesome. Thanks, Colin.
Oh.
Yeah, man.
Just my thoughts on Lynda real quick. It's the only one that I've used a lot. I use Lynda all the time, and not just, I've taken some refresher like CSS courses or whatever on there, but I use Lynda for a lot of other stuff. For example, a lot of the design aspects. I go in and do refresher or take another course on Lynda. You never know what thing is going to be popping out in your mind. For example, I just recently having a conversation with a client who wanted the drop-down menus, that you had to click the main menu before the drop-down menus, and it just popped into my head the explanation that they would have given on that about a similar issue, that, hey, you want everything to be the way that people are used to having it. So just little things like that. I have only taken a few of the coding aspects, but a lot of the actual design concept courses I've taken, and they've all been great, as well as I do a bit of amateur photography, and I've enjoyed their photography classes as well. So I give a big thumbs up to lynda.com as well.
Yeah, it's a great one.
That's good. That's good. It's awesome that there's a lot of cool resources out there, and so that you can kind of find the one that suits your learning style best, and one that focuses well on your area of interest. I've learned some good things from Codecademy before.
Yeah.
Also got to hang out with some of the guys from Treehouse the other day at a word camp, and
Cool.
they're definitely doing some cool stuff. I love what they're working on. So yeah, a lot of great learning stuff, which is awesome. So I guess next thing I wanted to cover are some essentials, I think, for getting me through my day, non-specifically WordPress stuff. So being a small business owner who works from home, I have a few essentials that I think are totally critical to being a productive individual. One would be super cheap beer would be great, super helpful. So
For sure.
this swill just gets you, through a long work day. When a client sends those requests that just blow your mind or make you want to blow your mind away.
Well, not to steal your thunder here, Kyle, but if you came down and visited me, you could get good beer at a super cheap price.
Oh.
All right. Good to know. Something else I learned.
You'd have a round table live from Jason's place.
Yeah, live in Colombia.
That's right. It'd be sweet.
That would be cool.
For sure.
All right.
One day.
Yeah. Let's book a date for that and make it happen. And so, moving on to the next tool that I think is totally critical to my success. This is a really important business tool for me. I think if you haven't been using it already, you should totally start using it. It'll enhance your productivity. It'll make you better at what you do, enhance your job satisfaction. It'll generally just improve your entire life and make you a better person. So go totally check out grooveshark.com and see the wonders that it has in store for you. So for those who don't know, GrooveShark is a music playing service that I totally love because I'm I'm a bit of a music fanatic and love how much music is available on GrooveShark and how I can set up these great playlists and play exactly what I want. It does, in the past, my sources for the music I list that played throughout the day to get me through my work day would be my own personal media library, which is quite extensive, or Pandora, which plays something loosely based on my interests. But GrooveShark has basically everything I could ask for and lets me specify what I want. And so maybe there's a certain song that I do want to hear or a certain playlist that I do want to set up on my own. I'm pretty picky. And GrooveShark allows me to do that. It allows you also to follow other people and see their playlists and just rock through the workday. So
I've another plug for GrooveShark. I really like their mobile player too. They have like on my phone, if I want to hear a specific song, of course you can go to YouTube or open the YouTube app, but then you're getting all the bandwidth of the video along with it. If you don't really care about that, you just want the song kind of on demand, I have bookmarked html5.grooveshark.com just on my phone. You can just search for and play any song just immediately, just on demand. So I use that quite a bit actually if I want to hear something specific. Like on my phone, that's kind of my go-to. If it's not something that's on my phone in the the audio library, so to speak, my music collection, but I just want to hear something on demand like that, don't care about the video, then their mobile player is great too.
Yeah,
side note.
I think working in a home office like this where I'm isolated from the world and just living this freelancer type lifestyle, having access to good music that gets you going is pretty helpful. So my workflow for my music is typically going to be listen a lot on Pandora and discover new music that I haven't heard before, and then go add it to a GrooveShark playlist so I can hear it again later. And if you follow me, I think I'm like at mr.kjm1 or something like that on GrooveShark. You'll see I've got tons of playlists for different scenarios. I even have playlists for when my wife is around. you know, the neutral music that we both find appealing. It's not the biggest playlist that I have, unfortunately, but it's useful. And so that's a recommendation for me, a non-WordPress tool that is essential to get you going. There you go.
Okay then. My first tool today is going to be the Pixlr Editor. And of course, I must screen share. And can you see me?
Yep.
Can you see me now? Okay, so Pixlr Editor. Basically, one of the reasons I pulled this up, it's a tool that I use, not all the time, but occasionally. And you know, when we just finished getting our own logo, and your big complaint, Mr. Kyle, was that it didn't have a white background; it had a clear background. And this is the tool I came in and drew a background on it in. So I do a lot of photography, so I've got a lot of images, you know, my own images that I use, but sometimes I need to draw something or create something, fill something in, whatever it may be. This is where I come to do it because it's better than like my standard paint program, and it pretty much lets me do everything I want. Again, I use a lot more photography than, say, artwork when I do use images in web development for the most part. But this does let me do what I need to do, you know, bucket fills and erase and text. And occasionally I'll come in here and draw maybe a, I don't know, what am I looking at? You know, just put in a text and start filling in a background and creating maybe if I need like an advertisement or a promo item, you know, I can take a photo, bring it in here, and then put some text over it and try to clean that up so it looks nice. But it still allows me to do layers, which is nice. And something I'll get into a little bit later. So if I'm testing different colors or I'm testing different things, I can eliminate a layer, come back in. You know, I can create a layer, put some text or maybe some other graphics on top, then export that photo, eliminate that layer, create a new layer, and create it all different, and then come back and see which one I like, which one the client likes, or like I said, there's another tool I'm going to get into where I use these in conjunction quite a bit, and I'm going to stop there. Basically, a very simple editor tool. You don't need a lot. It's online, so it doesn't matter whether you're on PC or Mac. And it's generally, I mean, it's not as complex as something like GIMP, or I don't even know what the other image editors that are high-end are out there. I guess Photoshop. Yeah, I'm not interested. I don't do enough to warrant me keeping their new monthly subscription plan. So this is what I use.
Yeah, I have another thumbs up for Pixlr too. I tend to use it a lot for favicons. You know, if I need to, I don't believe I have a program to convert like any PNG image I would create into a .ico, you know, to use for the favicon. So I just hit the Pixlr bookmark and just really quickly drop in my thing and just convert it. Makes it really easy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it has .ico support, so you can go back and forth.
That's interesting. There's also an ICO program online. I'd have to dig for it. I haven't used it in forever. It'll import your image and export all the various .ico sizes. So you get like the 16, the 32, the 64. You know, depending on whether you're on mobile or computer, or I think the Wii or something. One of those video game consoles used like a 128 or something. So it would output. You drop in a picture and it would output them all like that. And I do have that bookmarked somewhere. I don't know where it is, but maybe I'll try to throw that in the show notes, because ever since I started using Headway, I have not bothered with it because it automatically does all that for me.
Cool.
But that's a good point. I never knew you could. I never even thought about doing that here.
I believe you can. Yeah.
No, just never dawned on me. Well, I guess we're back to you, Kellen.
All right, cool. I only have just two more. One is ultra popular and might not be worth mentioning to tech-savvy folk, but that is using Evernote. Just a um, really feature-rich note editor application that's really popular for a lot of people. And I'm one of those people, I guess. I use it for just clipping things from the web quite a bit. Especially what it's great for is if you think there's an article on the web that you want to keep forever, you can clip that content out and turn it into an Evernote just with a Chrome or Firefox extension. You can easily clip that, and then if that site ever goes down or is taken offline or lost or whatever else, you still have all that content in your clipped note. So I use that quite a bit for just tips and tricks I pick up on how to do different things for running a business or web development or design basics or whatever it may be. If I find something interesting I want to reference later, sometimes I'll bookmark it, but if it's something I really want to keep, like I said, even if it goes down or is removed from the web or whatever else, I use Evernote quite a bit to clip those. Another great feature is it has optical character recognition, or OCR, meaning even if you take a picture of something, so like on my phone, for instance, if there's a physical sheet of paper or a sign or something that I want to make a note of, you can snap a photo of that and make an Evernote of it. Then later on, when you're searching for a certain word that may be in that image that you took, Evernote will recognize that, and it'll pull up that note that you took that has a sign bearing the word, development or whatever word you snapped on the sign or on the printed page or whatever it was. So it's really cool for indexing, anything that you might have saved to it in text format or even in images or whatever else. It's just really easily searchable. So Evernote's super great tool for anybody who likes to have collections of notebooks. And also you can get to it from anywhere. So I think just about any major computer platform, mobile platform, as well as the web itself. You can just go to evernote.com and access all your notes there. So really, as long as you have an internet connection of some kind, you have it at your disposal. Or you can even choose to sync your notes offline if you have a device that you can do that on. You can have them all offline if you need to. Really great one. Last one I'll mention is just packages for SAS. This is a CSS preprocessor, SASS, if you're familiar with that. I've started using it just recently. I'm trying to break into, instead of writing straight CSS, instead trying to start with SAS and have that preprocessor build the CSS files for me. Originally, when I started that, I thought that I had to run some kind of third-party, app on my computer that would monitor my SAS files for changes, and then the moment I saved, a new version of them, it would then run this compiler or this preprocessor and create the resulting, CSS file that would be the output that would actually be used when the website is loaded. So for a little while, for maybe 2 weeks, I was running this separate third-party app whose only purpose was to monitor that folder and for changes. But then I did a little reading and I found out there's a great package for Sublime Text 2, which is the text editor that I use. Again, very popular text editor I recommend. But it is called, let me see if I can pull it up. It is Sublime Linter for Sublime Text 2. It is called. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the linter for recognizing SAS. Sorry, there's another one. I misspoke there. The other one that monitors the folder for you and builds the CSS file is just called Build on Save for Sublime Text. And it essentially does what I was just talking about that I had my third-party app doing, which is monitor those SAS files for any changes, and then the moment there is a change, runs it through the SAS preprocessor to create and output the CSS file. So that one's been really helpful to me. Now I don't have to worry about any third-party apps. It just kind of monitors that and does it in the background. So I'd recommend if you just Google, again, just Sublime Text and then save on build for working with SaaS, then you'll find it pretty easily, and really the instructions are really clear on how to set that up. It's on a really popular GitHub page, easy to find. All right, that was my last one that I had for the group.
Awesome. Thanks, Kellen. Those are some pretty cool tools, and I haven't been using that SAS package before. I'm still using Compass for my SAS processing. So I think I'm going to have to make a switch to that, which sounds more sophisticated and convenient.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, it's cool. I like it.
I wanted to point out a tool that I think is pretty handy. I don't know how many people know about this, but we've been using it a lot over the past, I don't know, year or so. But it has to do with monitoring uptime for your sites and downtime. So this is especially important. You know, I mean, obviously, anybody having websites online, downtime is a reality. It's not a if, it's a when. You know, your sites will go down. Sites will definitely go down. So keeping an eye on that and understanding when they go down and when they come back up is like super cool. And so there's a really cool tool that we use for monitoring our sites called Status Cake. And we'll probably put a link in the show notes like we will for all these other tools. But Status Cake is a site monitoring service, and it's got a free program, a free plan for maybe a limited number of sites, or maybe the frequency with which it checks and refreshes, or some other small limitations. But it's pretty effective, even their free plan. And what it does is it just pings your site every few minutes, and it monitors whether it's up or down, whether the site is online or not. And if it's if the site goes down, you can configure Status Cake to alert you. They have email alerts, and you can also set up SMS alerts, so they can even text you when your site goes down. And then it'll alert you again as well when your site comes back up. And then you get great reports in the end about uptime, monitoring how often your site has gone down and what percentage of the time your site has been up. Sometimes this is interesting to compare to the guarantees that hosting providers give. A lot of hosting providers give, when you sign up, a uptime guarantee, 99% or 99.9% or something like that. I like comparing my site's uptime to that number and see, is the hosting provider coming through with their promises? Am I responsible for the downtime? And I also would really love to know about a downtime before my client does. For instance, there's nothing worse than getting a call from a client at any hour of the day, night, or weekend that a site is inaccessible. So Status Cake helps me, have that peace of mind, helps me react more quickly, solve problems before my client even notices, and be very professional about things. So Status Cake, great tool. It's free. And we'll link to it, and even in addition to that, I just over the weekend, just like kind of side note, I've got a beta version of a plugin that integrates with Status Cake to bring those reports into the WordPress dashboard. It's a Client Dash extension, an extension for a plugin that we've been making called Client Dash, and that helps bring the data, the reports of your Status Cake uptime and total information about a test that you're running into the WordPress dashboard, which is handy in some cases. So anyway, check it out, Status Cake. Boom.
Cool, man.
I got a question for you, Kyle.
What's that?
Have you used or are you using Managed WP?
I know of it. No, I haven't been using it, no.
The reason I ask is it is also free, I think up to 10 websites you can have on it, and it will not only monitor your downtime and shoot you an email as soon as your site goes down, but you can also update all your plugins, update your themes, I think you can do backups on there as well. But one of the things I like to do is if I'm going in, if I'm working with a new site, is I'll put them on there. And then if I'm looking around, I'll just scroll across all my plugins and say, okay, these are I've got all these plugins on all these sites. Do I need any of these on my new site? And so I can just check the box, check the box, check the box, update, and it'll automatically install all those plugins that I may think that are relevant to this new site. It also lets me update plugins, like I said, update themes, all from one spot for all the sites that I have. So as long as I don't, like if I go through and I'm checking them and I haven't gotten a backup from a site in a while, then I won't do anything on that site. I'll go in and manually do it. But otherwise, all my sites on there, I can update and manage remotely without having to log into each individual site.
That's pretty cool.
But it also gives me my downtime and uptime, and I think it's a great resource.
Yeah.
Not that I was planning on pitching one, but
absolutely. Yeah, that's a good tool. Thank you.
As a matter of fact,
Jason. There's a lot of
I think I got.
there's a lot of reasons why tools like that are really important. You know, for us to be responsible to maintain things, to keep things up to date, have a single interface for managing that stuff. That's super cool. So yeah, manage WP definitely if you're just doing WordPress stuff. I think that's an awesome service. I may end up using that in the future. I like using Statuscake a lot. It's got some pretty cool stuff. Something that I've even done in the past is I've set it up to monitor, because you don't need any special access to monitor a site. I've set it up to monitor a site of a prospect, someone that I wanted to sell maybe a better website and a better host. Option 2, and so we have generally a long sales cycle, and so upon introduction to a lead, I set up a monitoring service for their site so that several months down the road, when we go to have a meeting and talk about it, I can say, you know, you're only getting, you know, a certain percentage of uptime, and it, you know, gives me a really compelling argument for why they should maybe switch to my recommendation or hosting with us or with our preferred vendors. So just a little extra thing that I've done with it, just whatever.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Making me think about that site Kellen and I were talking about doing that he backed out on now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's good. I would say, you know, Kyle, give that a try for just, you know, put 2 or 3 sites on it and see what you think, because they do the uptime and downtime monitoring, but just the idea, the ability to go in and update everything in one spot, I'd say give it a test run. I like it a lot.
Thanks, Jason.
Where was I on my list of things to talk about? I kind of got distracted. Oh, buddy. So I'm going to talk a little bit about custom icons. Let me do a little screen share here. Now this is just a cool thing that I like, and it allows me to, without spending a lot of money, a lot of time, or a lot of anything, I can kind of customize any site with a unique icon, social media icons. And it's really simple. I can pick the inner color. Let's say we'll make that green in there. We'll shrink it down a little bit. By the way, this is at customizer.net. Let me, well, I'll throw that back on here afterwards when we start talking about it. I can change the outer color. Blue. Let's make that blue, and let's make this red. And it's really that simple to have custom icons, how you want them, as big as you want them, as small as you want them. I can make them ginormous like this, and I can bring them back down to something more reasonable and not retarded looking. And you've got your basics. You've got your Facebook, Google+, Twitter, Vimeo, YouTube, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Blogger, and then you got some other ones like Android, Internet Explorer, Apple. I'm just reading off the top now. But you've got all these, and you can change the shape, size, color. So without spending a lot of money, having somebody design. This is something I really enjoy, just by being able to bring in something, especially if I've got, a website that's kind of that really feeds off the color and the theme of the website. This is something I like to bring into the play, and I think they're nice. Obviously, these colors are probably not what you're going to be looking for, but you can really make a nice set of social media icons from this.
Cool.
That's awesome.
And this is, let me get back over to my screen here. Where are we? That is at http://customizer, spelled all weird, .net/icons.
Awesome.
All right, that was my next one. Who's next?
Cool. I can cover two of them real quick. One of them is Dropbox. I'm sure some viewers have heard of Dropbox. Very popular tool, but Dropbox is great for syncing between devices. They're kind of hits a I can't remember their original catchphrase when they launched, but it was likening Dropbox to a pocket that you have that, if you put your car keys or your homework or your, work assignment or whatever it is in this magic pocket, it doesn't weigh anything and it goes with you anywhere. But the moment you need your car keys, your assignment, your big work project or whatever, and you reach in that pocket, everything's there at all times. Wouldn't that be cool, right? That's what Dropbox essentially is for digital files. So you can have it running on your computer and tablet and phone and the web, just at your account at Dropbox.com. And any file you throw into Dropbox, in any of those places, on your computer or phone or the web or whatever else, is immediately accessible. I shouldn't say immediately, but after being uploaded, then it's accessible anywhere, on any of those devices. So what it's done for me is just more or less remove the need to carry around portable flash drives or portable hard drives anymore to get my files from my computer to someone else's, or my work computer to my home computer, things like that. I used to have several flash drives just to transfer large files back and forth, for instance. Now it's all Dropbox. Just drop it in at one computer, and I know it's already accessible when I get to the other one, the other device, whatever that may be. One other note on Dropbox is it's great for not only sending yourself large files back and forth, but also other people. You can easily create a public link for any file on Dropbox and just send that to people. So I use that quite a bit for any large files that are too big for email. Dropbox is my go-to solution for just creating a link and sending it to anybody I want to. One more tool I will mention, I thought of since I was done last time, and now that I'm speaking again, I thought of, that is fontsquirrel.com. I love Font Squirrel. It's spelled just like the animal, so F-O-N-T and then squirrel, like the animal.com. Font Squirrel is a great site for 100% free fonts, free for commercial use. So for folks who develop and design sites, if you want to find fonts that you can not only give to others for free, but sell sites that contain these fonts to other people, these are all free for commercial use. So it's great for that, for finding different fonts with different styles to them and using them on various websites. But the thing that really knocks out of the park for me is their web font generator tool. So if anybody goes to that site, fontsquirrel.com, one of the tabs right on top says Web Font Generator. What this does is you can, if you find any royalty-free or open source font out there on the web that is in one format, let's say OTF or a true typed font, TTF, or one of those formats, that's great. But if you want to have it living on some web server as a true web font, that will be served to any device, to PCs and Macs and mobile devices, etc., you're going to need a whole slew of formats. You're going to need that font in several different formats. So Font Squirrel, what you can do is if you find on, let's say, dafont.com, so dafont.com is another site. If you find, let's say you find one of their royalty fonts that you think looks really great, but it's only in one format, just the TTF format, my go-to resource is, or my process is, I would download that TTF font, then go right to Font Squirrel, to their web font generator, to that tool, and then find that TTF font on my computer and upload it. And then what Font Squirrel gives you is just the whole library of every version of that font that you would need for, again, PCs and Macs and iPhones and Android devices, and kind of every version of the font. You can just download all of that as a pack, and then so when you go to launch your site or your client site or whatever, if you know that if you just reference all of those fonts, that it will be served that way to any various device. So it's really great. It's my go-to method for just making sure I have a true web font that can be used on any device like that. So web font generator, check it out.
Now, was that supposed to be a low blow on my fonts that I had beforehand?
Oh, I promise. I promise it wasn't.
Because I liked those fonts. I don't care what you said.
All right. Fair enough.
We love talking fonts here. Yeah. And we're all nice guys. We get along all the time. So.
At least on camera we do. But.
Yeah. Yes. Officially.
Jason, we'll settle that later.
Okay.
All right. Comment.
Awesome. I guess I'll mention about 25 other tools that I like to use, or maybe just one. I've got one thing that I just use pretty much like every single day. Actually, two sites, but kind of for just about the same purpose. whatsmyip.org. I use this site like every single day. It's a great website for doing like DNS lookups and stuff on domains. Look at records for different all the available records for a domain. That's the feature that I use the most. It's got a lot of handy dandy little internet tools. But most of the time I'm using it to look up domains. Want to check and see if MX records are reflecting properly on a domain. Want to check A records. Want to check name servers or something like that. I use it all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. whatsmyip.org is super, super handy. And coinciding with that is another website I really like, builtwith.com. That's builtwith.com. It's another site where you pop in a domain, and it'll tell you as much information as it can find about what the site is built with. And so I'm using both of these sites at the same time anytime somebody calls me. So I get a new person, gets on the phone, and is like, oh, whatever, I want to build a new website, blah, 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 or whatever. And I'm like, yeah. Tell me your domain, and they give it to me, and I say, all right, it looks like you're hosted with GoDaddy. What's wrong with you? It looks like your site is, built with, I don't know, OS Commerce or something, or whatever. You got some major issues, man, and then so on and so on. I can just pull up all this information and make the discussion more informative. Tell them usually 9 times out of 10, I tell them more that I end up knowing more information than even they do, and come across as someone who knows what they're talking about and can move the discussion along pretty quickly by just telling them where their site's hosted, how it's configured, and what it's built with, and why they should pay me a lot of money to build a better one. So that's really just one use case for it, but other times I'm using these sites to test especially what's my IP.org, test what whether changes I've made to a domain have been reflected to the rest of the world. You know, if DNS records have propagated or whatever. Or I'm getting weird traffic from strange IPs. What's my IP.org? I can look up where that IP is in the world. It'll tell me, point a pin on the map and say this, you know, somebody is trying to brute force your server from Utah or Yugoslavia or something. And so things like that I think are super handy, and you know, those are 2 bookmark sites that I go to daily. There you go. Boom.
Nice, nice.
I actually believe that I have, and I'm looking right now. It looks like I used to have a plugin for Built With, and now it seems to be, if I'm looking at the right one, it seems to say SEO Site Tools, but it gives me all that same information for the most part. But I really like it mostly because, and well, I mean, the more I'm looking at it, I'm trying to wonder if it's the same one. I'm pretty sure it was with Built With. Anyways, as soon as I pull up a website, it shows me their PR rank right there, but we're not getting into SEO today. So what I will get into is this cool little text thingy. And it should be called that, but it's not called that. I'm going to screen share it here. usabilityhub.com. Can everybody see me live here?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to do a real quick test. Try a live test now. There we go. And I really enjoy this because it not only gets your brain thinking about cool new stuff, but it yeah, it's fun. You are looking to buy a pair of blue men's straight fit 514 jeans. Where do you click? I don't even know what all that means. That looks like the word straight. I don't know. We'll see. There's 94 more tests. Let's do another one. They're like 5-second tests. All right, here are the instructions on the test. Where would you go to get the information on college activities and events? Start the test. News and events. Okay. Oh, it's a 2-part test. What? I hope they're not watching this, because right now I'm getting frustrated. Why have I not yet got to the good events? Okay, I guess I'm here. And that's it. What's cool about this is you can see my karma climbing up here, right? You guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got 13 karma points. That's really cool, because now I can log into my own site and run my own test. And I'm going to cheat here and be a bad boy. I'm going to ask people to use my really cool user link. That way I get more points. There we go. https:/r=r=35866. Anyways, pretty much if you go to usability.hub or usabilityhub.com, you can take these tests, and I mean, basically, you do 5 seconds per test, and you're helping out some other designer. Whereas on the other side, you can put your own test in there and have 10, 15, 20 people come and do your own option thing. And we didn't really see one or the other options, but recently I had a guy say he wasn't sure whether he wanted to put free appointment or schedule an appointment. So we ran the test, and they came out to be 9 and 11 out of 20 people, so they were almost even. But we did it with 4 things, one with a green button, one with a red button on each of those. And what we did come up with, even though it wasn't the original question, is we're not going to use a red button. But that's something I want to incorporate more, usabilityhub.com. And hey, I mean, if you've got 2 ideas and you're not really sure, throw them out there. It takes about a day to get, or maybe it takes a few hours to get like 10 people, and you've got at least, and I won't call it a really scientific examination, but you've got at least an idea of what people are thinking and where they're flowing on your site, and what they might like better, what might give you the better results. So.
That's great. I really like that, and I think I'm gonna use that in the future.
Use my code, because then I get 10 free cool points.
Whoa.
I got it. I got it recorded.
Well, and the way it works is you get points for taking the test on taking other people's tests. So if you do 10 tests, you can now have 10 people test your stuff. Now you can also pay for premium membership and get all these extra points, and however, depending on how much you pay is depending on how many points you get. But it's really cool. You can do it for free if you just want to do a 10, 20 people test. And but if you really want to do something more scientific and get down to the nuts and bolts of let's test it this way and this way and this way and run 5 different tests, you can do that. You're going to end up paying for that. But I still think it's great service, especially when I'm having a little bit of difficulty explaining to a client, this is why we don't want to do this, and this is why we do want to do this. We'll just throw them both out there, and I don't have to really argue about it. Hey, I might be wrong, they might be wrong, and let's see who wins.
That's awesome, Jason.
Okay, then. We are right about an hour. Does anybody have any last-minute ones they absolutely want to throw in?
I can throw in some rapid-fire ones with very little explanations of things that Kyle thinks are cool and helpful.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. We need those.
So you don't get the why, you just get the what. So basically, the Google Chrome browser, use it, it's awesome.
I second that.
Boom. Google Docs, one of the greatest things ever created and given away for free. Boom. Podio, I dig it. Great project management platform. And GitHub, love it. Love using GitHub. It's freaking amazing. And
wait, covered that.
What?
Did I just cover that? No, I did not. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, GitHub is way cool. And despite what many think, it's not just for developers too. It's a lot of cool things going on GitHub. It's not just nerds with code. I am a user of tools like Salesforce, CallRail, awesome tool, QuickBooks Online, got to run my business, MailChimp, hard to beat MailChimp. If my clients can use it, then it's a thumbs up in my book. And yeah, that's it for me.
Oh, wow. What about use of the word boom for lists? What about, is that one of your tips too?
Boom is just a handy thing to emphasize a point.
All right. Boom. You just emphasize another point. Boom.
Yeah. Just make people know that you're serious and you're also done.
Boom.
Yeah.
You're done and serious.
That was the highlight of this whole hangout was the use of boom, I think.
I mean, it kind of just like, it should coincide with people's minds exploding because you just said something really profound.
No.
That's the boom.
It's not going to happen. Not when you say boom. You have to throw it like a boom!
I prefer the Sublime Text to save on build package. Oh!
Hey, real quick side note, Kyle. I've been throwing clients over to Tiny Mail or Tiny Letter, which is now owned by MailChimp as well. And for those clients who want as little bit of a learning curve as possible, just a thought, for anybody who's trying to get into it and does not want a huge learning curve on the mail side with the mail lists and newsletters and whatnot. TinyLetter's pretty simplified, and people seem to be pretty happy with it.
That's cool. That's good to know. I mean, I thought MailChimp was as simple as it gets, but if it gets even simpler than that, I mean, that's a win for me.
Yep, TinyLetter. And they're owned by MailChimp. They have the same policies and everything as MailChimp. It's just even simpler.
Wow.
Cool. Sweet. I think this was a 4-minute episode, guys.
All right, gents.
All right, we're hitting it there. We will catch you next week. And I have no idea what we're talking about, but I'm sure it's going to be a big boom like this guy right here. He's booming up.
Oh!
He did the silent boom there. I'm impressed. Okay. All right, well, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next week.
Yo.